Hello friends, how are you? Please subscribe my channel for daily new update. Restaurant critic and journalist Giles Coren has announced his diagnosis with prostate cancer. Writing in his column for The Times, the 55-year-old said urology nurses had taken a biopsy before informing him they had found some cancer, but that no treatment would be necessary for the moment. In the very week that it was announced on the front page of The Times that prostate cancer is now the commonest cancer in England. "I have been diagnosed with it," he wrote. Earlier in the week, charity Prostate Cancer UK said diagnoses of the disease had overtaken breast cancer in 2022 and 2023, making it England's most common cancer. TV star and writer Coren, who is the brother of Only Connect presenter Victoria Coren Mitchell, said his delightful journey started a couple of years ago. "I had to literally demand, a prostate-specific antigen, PSA, test along with my annual cholesterol check. Because not only is it not mandatory on the NHS, but your GP is not even allowed to suggest it unless you have symptoms," he claimed. The NHS website says a PSA test checks the level of prostate-specific antigen in your blood, with high levels indicating a potential prostate condition. Coren said the test came back a bit high, and revealed he had only asked for it because of the work done by celebrities including Stephen Fry, the late Bill Turnbull, and more recently Sir Chris Hoy, who revealed his prostate cancer was terminal in 2024. Prostate Cancer UK says a normal PSA levels are usually less than 3 ml, but adds that this varies, with levels depending on factors such as age and medication use. After his test presented a score of 4, Coren was sent for an MRI scan, which he said came back meh. Not definitely cancer, but not definitely not cancer. They then offered him a biopsy, which he declined until his PSA level went up to 7. After the procedure, one of the urology nurses phoned him to present the results and said they had found cancer, but less than a millimeter in just 3 of the 21 samples. According to Coren, they said that no treatment would be necessary for the moment. Just monitoring. Coren has presented on TV shows including BBC Two program Amazing Hotels, Life Beyond the Lobby. He also presented BBC Radio 4's Front Row for one series. The BBC has apologised after a review into the conduct of Russell Brand during his time with the broadcaster found a number of people felt unable to raise concerns about the presenter. The review focused on Brand's behaviour on BBC 6 Music and BBC Radio 2 between 2006 and 2008. The actor and comedian, 49, has denied accusations of rape, assault and emotional abuse, and previously said all his sexual relationships were absolutely always consensual. In September 2023, a joint investigation by the Sunday Times, The Times, and Channel 4 dispatches revealed 4 women had accused him of sexual assaults between 2006 and 2013. The review, carried out by Peter Johnston, BBC Director of Editorial Complaints and Reviews, looked at reports Brand urinated into cups or bottles while in the studio, throwing objects, allegations of sex on the premises including with competition winners, and exposure while in the studio in front of staff and guests, and on-air comments. It also investigated management failings, including Brand's relationship with Radio 2's then-controller, Leslie Douglas. Douglas resigned after Brand made a prank call to Fawlty Towers actor Andrew Sachs. Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy called the complaints against Brand in the review of his behaviour horrendous, and called for action by the corporation and the industry regarding abuse and harassment complaints. Mr. Johnston investigated 8 complaints about Brand, saying only one was formally made to the BBC. He said, "I am grateful to those who have come forward to talk to me and my team, and I have apologised on behalf of the BBC to those most directly affected by what I have documented here. The culture of the time undoubtedly influenced what was acceptable/tolerated, but I have found that a number of individuals had concerns about Russell Brand's behaviour which they felt unable to raise then. Many interviewees believed, rightly or wrongly, that Russell Brand would always get his way and therefore they stayed silent, and I note here my finding above that the one complaint that was made in 2007 was not dealt with effectively when it was made. The processes for raising any concerns were also not as developed as they are now. In the intervening years, the BBC has introduced other mechanisms and routes for staff to raise concerns. In response to the report, the BBC said, the review considered 8 complaints of misconduct about Russell Brand, only 2 of which were made while he was engaged by the BBC, one formally and one informally. It is of great concern that some of these individuals felt unable to raise concerns about Russell Brand's behavior at the time, and the BBC has apologized to them as part of this review. It is also clear that there were compliance inadequacies on some of Russell Brand's Radio 2 shows, which led to content being aired that would not be broadcast today. Russell Brand left the BBC in 2008 following a high-profile editorial breach. As has been reported, there is an ongoing police investigation into Russell Brand. The BBC has been in contact with the Metropolitan Police throughout the review and they have seen the report. The BBC acknowledges that Russell Brand categorically denies all public allegations made against him. The corporation said, "It is clear that presenters have been able to abuse their positions at the BBC, but there have been changes in procedures since 2008 including a special process for the most serious allegations and concerns, and an anti-bullying and harassment policy." In a statement, Nandy said, "The complaints against Russell Brand set out in this report are horrendous. As is the fact that staff felt unable to raise concerns because they did not think that they would be believed or taken seriously. I commend those who bravely came forward to share their appalling experiences. The BBC must now reflect on the conclusions and take action to reassure its staff and the wider public that it takes these issues seriously." The review investigated a complaint made by a woman working in the same building as the BBC's office in Los Angeles, in which she alleged Brand flashed her, and later laughed about the encounter on his radio show in 2008. She wanted the complaint escalated further, and it was to an LA line manager in 2019, and was subsequently claimed to have been passed on to BBC News in London. Mr. Johnston said that the compliance process in place for pre-recorded shows around the time of the original broadcast did not do what it was supposed to in respect of this episode. He said the response at the time was inadequate, along with the handling of the 2019 complaint. Another allegation looked at a claim made by a woman called Alice, who alleged BBC cars transported her including from her school to his house, when she was 16 and alleged to be in a relationship with Brand. Mr. Johnston spoke to Alice, and looked at her claims, including interviewing drivers and looking at Brand's access to cars during his time at Six Music, and said it is highly unlikely that the cars described by Alice were chauffeur-driven BBC cars or BBC management cars.